Hey everyone, Mr. Boykin here. This is lesson 4.2.2 and we're going to start solving inequalities, but like we always do, we're going to start off with a review of last lesson and there will be a quiz on this at the end of class. So let's start off with the 4.2.1 review. Okay, so on the left-hand side, we have the teacher questions, and it says state the inequality represented in the graph. Now remember what we see. We have an open circle, and what does the open circle tell us? It means it does not include the numbers. So it does not include 6. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, we have a variable, x, and we have the number 6. Now we just need to figure out what sign is going to go in between there. Well, take a look at the arrow. This red arrow is going to the left, which means it is becoming less in value as it goes to the left. So the symbol that goes in between is less than, and there is no line underneath it because of the open circle. It is not equal to, x is less than 6. Okay, the second one, we see this in this case that we have a closed circle. And what does the closed circle tell us? It means it does include -4. Okay, so again, I have a variable and I've got the number -4. And notice in this case, the arrow is going to the right, which means it is getting greater in value. So x is greater than, and because it's a closed circle, it is equal to -4. Okay, and the third question right here, they already give you the inequality in this statement right here, and they're telling you to now put that on the graph. So what does it say? X is greater than 4. So because it's not equal to, it will be an open circle, and greater means it's going to the right, and it would look like that. Whoa, that's a big arrowhead. Let's try that again. That looks better. Okay, now it's time for you to pause the video and try these 3 on the student side. Okay, let's see how you did. In the first one, you should get x is greater than or equal to -2. The second graph or number line states x is less than 8. And for the final one where you are drawing it, this one's a little bit tricky. X is not equal to 4, so that's why we have this open circle right there, but it means that it is every other value greater than 4 and every other value less than 4. So in this case, from that open circle, you would need arrows shooting off to the left and shooting off to the right. Okay, so let's move on to our new content in 4.2.2, and in this case we're going to be taking a look at some inequalities and solving for the unknown variable. So it's basically the same as algebra, except instead of an equal sign, instead of an equal sign right here, you now have another inequality symbol such as greater than or less than. Okay, so we're just going to do the exact same steps in the exact same order that we would with standard algebra. In this case, I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides, and it cancels out that 1 on the left, leaving me with x is greater than -6. Okay, so how do I check this? Well, when it was x is equal to -6, I would substitute this -6 into the value of x. But in this case, it says x is greater than -6. So what we need to do is we need to choose a number that is greater than -6 to substitute into that x value. And it can be any number, so choose something easy. And for example, 1 is greater than -6, so I will choose 1 to verify my work. Okay, so I'm going to replace the x with a number. Plus 1 is greater than negative 5. So this is my original question, or original equation that we had at the top. And remember, what are we going to put into those brackets? The value that we have selected for x, which in this case is going to be 1. So I'm going to do the work here. 1 plus 1 is 2, and 2 should be greater than negative 5. And this is absolutely true. 2 is greater than negative 5, so we have just verified our work, and we can move on to the next one. Okay, so the next question is saying 3k plus 4 is less than negative 14. So in this case, we have a two-step equation, so we're just going to pretend it says equals to instead of less than. So we subtract 4 like we've been doing all along, and we're left with a 3k on the left is less than negative 18. Then I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides, and I'm left with k is less than negative 6. Okay, so these are our final answers. And remember, there's lots of work going on in here, so it's a good idea to put a box around it or a circle around it so that you can see what the answer is, and I can see what the answer is when I'm grading things. So it says that k is less than negative 6. So again, to verify my answer, I'm going to have to make sure that I choose a number less than negative 6. So what will I choose? I will choose, say, negative 7 is less than negative 6. So it doesn't really matter. I could choose negative 8, negative 10, negative 100. And I go back to my original equation, which was 3 times k, put the brackets there, plus 4, that should be less than negative 14. So I want whatever's on the left to equal whatever's on the right. So I said I was going to choose negative 7. I put negative 7 into those brackets, and now I have 3 times negative 7, which is negative 21 plus 4. And I want to see, is that less than 14? Well, negative 21 plus 4 is going to be negative 17. Okay, so let me just resize this really quickly so you can see it properly. And I'll slide it up here, and we'll zoom in a little bit. There we go. So you can see right here that negative 17 is definitely less than negative 14, and we have just verified that our work is correct. Okay, let's move on to question number 3, and this one is a two-step as well. I've got negative t minus 3 is less than 6. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 3 to both sides, and I've got negative t is less than 9. Now remember when this was equals, so I'll just take that out. Let's pretend that's equals. And remember, if we had negative t equals 9, then we would just write down that t would equal the opposite of that, negative 9. Now the only difference here is when I have a negative coefficient in front of that variable, then I'm dividing by that negative coefficient. So really what we've got right here, if I could just rewrite this, is I do have a number 1 in front of that. So really what we're doing is we're dividing both sides by negative 1. That would cancel this out, and I end up with t and is less than negative 9. But one thing you have to remember, put a big star there. This is the one that is catches most students on the test. Anytime you're dividing, if you divide by a negative number, you need to flip the sign. So flip the sign. So instead of it being t is less than negative 9, it is going to be t is greater than negative 9. Okay, so, why do we do that? Well, let's take a look at verifying this question. So it says t is greater than negative 9. So what is a number greater than negative 9? So I will choose a number that is greater than negative 9. I will choose negative 5. Okay, and I'm just going to pop a box around this so I don't lose it. Okay, and I go back to my original equation, which was, I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger, negative t minus 3 is less than 6. So we're going to choose negative 5, so I'm going to put a negative 5 into that bracket. So what I've got there is I have a negative 5, and I know that a negative 5 is a positive 5, minus 3. Is that less than 6? Well, let's check. What is 5 minus 3? It is going to be 2. Okay, now is 2 less than 6? Well, yes it is. 2 is definitely less than 6, so we would say that this has been verified. Okay, now what if I chose a number, if I didn't flip that sign, it would be t is less than negative 9. So an example could be negative 10. So I would end up with a negative 10, which is a positive 10, minus 3 is going to be 7, and 7 is not less than 6. So you can see through our verification that it is necessary to flip that sign every time you divide by a negative number. Alright, so let's move on to, I believe it's the last one. Yes, it is. So it says solve and then graph. So we're just taking it one step further. So let's take a look and see what we've got. A two-step equation. And notice right away that we have a negative sign on that coefficient. So I know in my final answer, I will need to flip that sign. So I'm going to make a little note there for myself that I'm going to need to flip that thing in my final answer. That inequality symbol is going to have to be changed in the final answer. So let's work our way through here. We're going to subtract 6 from both sides. I got negative 4m is greater than or equal to negative 12. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4. And now I get m, and remember, as soon as I've divided, we're going to flip it, is less than or equal to, and negative divided by a negative is a positive, 12 divided by 4 is 3. So let's just verify first. So to verify, I need to choose a number to substitute for m that is less than or equal to 3. So I will choose, in this case, 2. So I will choose 2 to verify. So I'm going to be negative 4 bracket plus 6 should be greater than or equal to negative 6. I'm going to substitute a 2 into that spot right there. So I get negative 8 plus 6. Is it greater than or equal to negative 6? And I get negative 2, and that is definitely greater than negative 6. Okay, so now that we have verified that our work is correct, I'm just going to resize this, put it up here, and we'll finish off the graph. So what does it say? Greater than or equal to, so that means a filled in circle. We're graphing this one right here. So it's less than or equal to. So again, it's going to be a filled in circle on number 3. Now there is no 3 on here. So I need to almost draw in, well, not almost, I need to draw in that 3. Okay, and then I'm going to put a filled in circle on the 3. And it's important that I label this. I need to label this point, because I can't just put a dot between 2 and 4, because that could be 2.9 or any other value in between. But in this case, it is 3, and it is anything that is less than that as well. So again, our arrow is going to come off of that circle and go to the left. And that is finished. All right, so you got to do the questions in the book and improve on those skills. Whoa, sorry, before that, I forgot. We got our student work to do. Let's pause the video and get that done. All right, so here is the work complete and the answers. So for number 1, you should have x is greater than 8. For number 2, you should have x is less than or equal to 3. For question number 3, there's that negative coefficient. So don't forget to flip that sign at the end. You'll get t is greater than 4. And in the last one, we also had that negative coefficient. So in the end, we flipped it and ended up with x is greater than 5. 5 was not on our number line, so I had to add and label this 5, and then I made an open circle because it's greater than but not equal to 5, and because it's greater than, the arrow goes to the right. Okay, we are done.